It was a cartoon. Those weren't actually dwarfs in the movie. They were drawn, okay? So firstly...
They were drawn as dwarfs.
No, that is...
But it's a story about dwarfs.
Dwarfs.
Well, they shouldn't be called that. They should be called...
Mirror, mirror on the wall, how badly did Disney's new Snow White flop after all?
I love this. It's off to court we go.
Yeah.
Disney faces discrimination lawsuit over Snow White snub of little people actors who were replaced by cartoons in woke $215 million or pound live action remake of the classic.
Because they had 7 potential roles in a big budget Disney movie that were taken away from them, all because Peter Dinklage declared himself the king of the dwarfs and said it was inappropriate for them to be in said movie. Well, now there's a lawsuit over this.
I remember back in 2023 when this was going on and all the little people making videos saying, well, wait, there's so few roles for us in Hollywood. We're being passed over for this. You could have cast 7 little
Peter
people.
Dinklage.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, I'm predicting I'll be skipping this movie once and for all.
She doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
Controversy around the film began ever since we learned that there would be no Prince Charming because apparently he kissed her without consent, and also no woman needs a man to rescue her. The movie also used CGI for the 7 dwarfs rather than actors because they thought using real people would be offensive.
So this is, I mean, I do think that they have a claim here. I think that the point that's made by the actor, if you'll scroll down,
Ali
Chapman, 50 years old, he came in and he said, look, those are 7 talented little people actors who could have stepped in and taken these roles that Disney refused to allow them to take.
Megan, tell me, isn't this the one where they actually took the dwarves out of the 7 dwarves?
Yes, we have CGI dwarves now.
Okay, yeah, because little people didn't need jobs either.
Yeah.
But it's
Peter Dinklage wanted the whole field to himself. Went out there and was like,
ladder down
this
behind
is
him.
insulting,
Yeah.
unless it's me.
He kicked the ladder.
Yeah, he
The
got his
ladder.
money in Hollywood. Now he's like,
Oh,
don't
nicely
hire
done,
anyone else.
Smug. The ladder.
That was nicely done.
That was low.
Up angering the dwarf community, the little person community.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, how badly did Disney's new Snow White flop after all? The answer, my friends, is spectacularly. But this isn't just a story about a box office bomb, it's a story about a lawsuit. About a group of little people actors who are suing Disney for discrimination, claiming they were robbed of career-defining roles in the name of wokeness. And at the center of this controversy, fueling the flames of outrage and sparking a heated debate about representation in Hollywood is the CGI dwarf debacle. A decision so baffling, so tone-deaf, it's left many wondering if Disney executives have completely lost their minds.
A lot of hypocrisy going on, I gotta say, from being somebody who's a little bit unique, front row seat to some...
Really? Like what? Like what do you see?
Well, you know, it's really progressive to cast literally no offense to anything, but I was a little taken back by the they're very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White.
Yeah.
But you're still telling the story of Snow White.
Snow White, yeah.
7 dwarfs.
Sure.
So, look, take a step back and look at what you're doing there.
Yeah.
I know. That makes no sense to me.
But,
You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man? Have I done nothing to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough. I don't know what studio that is, but they were so proud of that, and all love and respect to the actress and to the people who thought they were doing the right thing. But I'm just like, what are you doing?
Disney, the self-proclaimed bastion of inclusivity and progressive values, is now facing a $215 million lawsuit. A group of little people actors, feeling betrayed and marginalized, are accusing the House of Mouse of discrimination, claiming they were denied the opportunity to audition for roles that were, quite literally, made for them. There's so few roles for us in Hollywood, one actor lamented, highlighting the scarcity of opportunities for little people in the entertainment industry. We're being passed over for this, and Snow White, a story that features 7 dwarf characters, could have been a game changer, a chance for these talented performers to showcase their skills on a global stage and break down harmful stereotypes. Instead, Disney opted for CGI, replacing real actors with digital creations, a decision that sparked outrage and accusations of hypocrisy. They cast a Latina actress as Snow White, a move touted as a step forward for representation, but simultaneously erased the dwarf characters from the story, a giant leap backward for inclusivity.
They shouldn't be called dwarves.
No, they should be called people with
They
dwarfism.
shouldn't be called. What's wrong with being called dwarves?
Nothing, but that's not the correct
That's the
term.
story.
Dylan, apparently you're not allowed to call yourself. Apparently, Dylan, you're not allowed to call yourself dwarfs. Apparently.
So the magical creatures are here in the movie. The CGI dwarfs are here in the movie. It works to a degree, but it's certainly going to be a financial hit for Disney, that's for sure.
And it is. We're looking at roughly, by my calculations right now, somewhere to the tune of about another $200 million loss for Snow White.
You know, and Rachel, she didn't want to share the spotlight, okay? Share the spotlight a little bit. We don't even take that much space up. But now it's gonna fail, and good, and I'm glad that it's failing. I'm glad that you're giving out spoilers, because no one's gonna watch this garbage. And we need to send a message to stop making these movies so that they'll wake up and actually write some original, good stuff that people want to see.
The elf role was made for a dwarf. That check cleared just fine. So now that he's gone and done that, the progression of dwarf actors, it doesn't sit right with me. That this guy who is exactly what you said, what gave him the voice for all of our community?
Jason Wien Acuna, a prominent voice for little people in entertainment, has been particularly critical of Disney's decision. He's questioned the logic behind their casting choices, arguing that if they were truly committed to diversity and inclusion, they would have cast little people actors in the roles of the 7 dwarfs. You're still telling the story of Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, he pointed out. Why are you hiring average people? It's a valid question, one that Disney has yet to answer satisfactorily. Their decision to use CGI, ostensibly to avoid perpetuating harmful stereotypes, has been met with skepticism and accusations of hypocrisy. Are they truly concerned about representation, or are they simply trying to avoid controversy, even if it means erasing an entire community of talented performers from a story that has historically included them? And then there's Rachel Ziegler, the actress whose controversial comments only added fuel to the fire. She repeatedly criticized the original Snow White film, calling it outdated and sexist. She mocked the prince as a stalker and dismissed the love story as irrelevant. These comments, delivered with a smugness and entitlement that grated on the nerves of many fans, turned her into a PR liability for Disney, a walking, talking controversy who seemed determined to alienate her own audience. And with the film's dismal box office performance, her words have come back to haunt her, solidifying her image as the actress who single-handedly sank Snow White.
And the more Disney goes towards this push for inclusiveness, the more exclusive they'll become. This has happened in hundreds of companies. It's not get woke, go broke. It's, we're going to discriminate on the basis of race, on the basis of ableism, on the basis of height, sex, you name it. And these roles that would have otherwise been available, there's not many characters that are written exclusively for little people actors.
And the people who it seems to me have really suffered in all this are the 6 dwarf actors who would have expected to have roles in this remake in a massive Hollywood blockbuster, who are now not going to have that experience, all the money, all the fame that may have come with that.
Disney's response to the growing controversy has been a masterclass in corporate doublespeak. They initially defended their decision to replace the dwarfs with CGI magical creatures, claiming it was a more inclusive and respectful approach. But when images of these creatures leaked online, they were met with widespread ridicule, with many critics pointing out that they looked even more stereotypical and cartoonish than the original dwarfs. Disney, caught in a web of their own woke-washing, was forced to backpedal.
It's a bad thing. I'm not agreeing with it. One, because what they're doing is pretty much you're replacing jobs that people could have as little people. Okay. Snow White and the 7 dwarfs, it's for dwarfs. Why are you hiring Snow White and the 7 average people?
You can make them a little person and not make the little person be part of the character. But see, that doesn't work with Snow White when it's a fantasy movie. In fantasy movies, let the characters be mythical. Let them actually be little people, because that is how it was written.
Disney's live-action remakes have become a source of endless frustration for many fans. From The Little Mermaid to Mulan to Beauty and the Beast, these reimagined classics have often felt hollow, soulless, and stripped of the very magic that made the originals so beloved. And Snow White, with its CGI dwarfs, its preachy storyline, and its miscast lead, is perhaps the most egregious example of this trend. The film was a critical and commercial failure, a box office bomb that left Disney executives scrambling to figure out where they went wrong.
Did the dwarfs make it or no?
Well, the CGI dwarfs did. Of course, that goes back to the original controversy where Peter Dinklage, a very talented little person actor, said, why are we doing that? We've hired a Latina actress to be Snow White. That's progressive. But you're going to hire little people to play the dwarfs? That just seems like a step backwards. And then, of course, Disney instantly buckled and said, okay, we're going to add magical creatures. And then the picture of the magical creatures leaked online, and everyone just had an absolute blast laughing at it.
And end up deciding that they were not going to have dwarf actors play said 7 dwarfs, and that is when we started to get the image of what are known in the current movie as the 7 Bandits, which is a mishmash of different races and different cultures and one little person, which of course caused a lot of people to say, I mean, come on, what are we even talking about? What are we even doing? And ended.
Ben Shapiro, never one to shy away from a controversial take, slammed the Snow White remake, calling it a complete disaster. He criticized Disney's casting choices, highlighting the absurdity of choosing Rachel Zegler, an actress who openly despises the original film, to play the iconic princess. The name of the movie is Snow White, he pointed out, emphasizing the obvious disconnect between the character's description and Zegler's ethnicity. He also criticized the film's financial losses, arguing that Disney's woke agenda was costing them money and alienating their core audience. It's certainly going to be a financial hit for Disney, he predicted, and he was right.
Well, you know, we had a guest on here Sunday evening, one of our friends, Lila Hart. She's a stand-up comic. She puts a lot of the blame on Peter Dinklage when she said it's something like Peter Dinklage showed up and he kicked out the tall ladder out from under all the dwarves before this movie.
So, but that still doesn't give him the right to do that and just, you know, ruin opportunities for other smaller actors.
He wants to be seen as, you know, a normal person, a normal actor, but at the same time, he also wants to be the go-to little person that's cast in all these movies at the same time.
That's just it. It's me. It's like it's me and nobody else. Like all of a sudden, casting dwarf actors to play dwarf-sized characters is suddenly racist to Peter Dinklage, which I didn't understand.
The Snow White remake wasn't just a bad movie. It was a case study in how a series of bad decisions can lead to a catastrophic outcome. Disney's casting of Rachel Zegler, their decision to replace the dwarfs with CGI, and their tone-deaf marketing campaign all contributed to the film's failure. It was a domino effect of bad choices, each one compounding the previous one until the whole project came crashing down. And Peter Dinklage, the acclaimed actor who had spoken out against the portrayal of dwarfs in the original film, became an unlikely villain in this saga. Peter Dinklage, a respected actor and a prominent voice for the little people community, found himself at the center of a firestorm of controversy after his comments about the Snow White remake. He had criticized the original film's portrayal of dwarfs as backward, but his words were interpreted by Disney as a call to action, a mandate to remove the dwarf characters entirely. This decision, while perhaps well-intentioned, backfired spectacularly, sparking outrage from the dwarfism community and accusations of hypocrisy against Dinklage himself. He had, after all, accepted roles that some considered stereotypical in the past, and his newfound criticism of Snow White felt, to some, like a betrayal of the very community he claimed to be representing. Peter Dinklage kicked the ladder out from under the feet of every other short actor out there, comedian Lila Hart observed, accusing him of pulling up the drawbridge after crossing it himself. Disney, eager to avoid controversy, had seemingly listened to only one voice, one influential figure, failing to consider the diverse perspectives within the dwarfism community, and ultimately making a decision that harmed the very people they were trying to protect.
Peter Dinklage spoke up about this, and that was my issue. He had in the past no issue cashing checks that were made for dwarf roles like Elf and all of that. Yes, he blew away the barriers when he did his roles that weren't necessarily made for a dwarf. But
Disney's decision to replace the 7 dwarfs with CGI wasn't just insensitive, it was a missed opportunity. They could have celebrated the talent and diversity of the little people community by casting real actors in these iconic roles. They could have turned Snow White into a powerful statement about inclusivity and representation. Instead, they opted for the safe, predictable route, choosing CGI over real people. And the result was a PR disaster that tarnished their reputation and cost them millions of dollars.
In the case of Peter Dinklage, like you said earlier, kicked the ladder out from under the feet of every other short actor out there, and you wind up with what you've got now with this complete travesty for Disney.
You're ruining the whole. This is a fantasy movie, okay? This is part of what makes Disney magical, and you're ruining it. And I already was upset that you took out 7 dwarfs from the name.
And the fact that Disney would prefer cartoon caricatures of little people over actual little people is really offensive. It's offensive, especially to me, frankly, and anybody who's born with a disability. Why not cast them in that role? It's absurd.
For little people actors, the Snow White remake was a devastating blow. Roles specifically written for them are rare, and the opportunity to be part of a major Disney production to bring these iconic characters to life on the big screen was a dream come true. But that dream was shattered when Disney, influenced by Peter Dinklage's comments and their own fear of backlash, opted for CGI, effectively erasing these actors from the story and denying them a chance to shine. "It's offensive," one actor stated, "especially to me, and anybody who's born with a disability. Why not cast them in that role? It's absurd." The decision to use CGI wasn't just insensitive, it was a missed opportunity to challenge stereotypes, celebrate diversity, and create a film that truly represented the full spectrum of human experience.